Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today we're doing a Q&A. We've had quite a few questions that I've been saving. Thought I'd get through some of these and give you some answers. How's that sound? All right? If you like what you hear, or if you like what you see, please don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to be notified when putting out new content. All right, I'm gonna get right into this. Does heating and bending those boards impact the integrity of the board? I would say it could, but not too much. We always use solid blocking when we're installing our curved boards, or we bring in our joists so close together, like on stairs, that it doesn't impede the integrity of the plank. You do void the manufacturer's warranty when you start bending deck boards. I knew that 20 years ago when I started doing it, but it's all good. I've never had a callback from a bent board or a failure of a curved board so far. So far so good. What is the determining factor if a deck needs engineering? Well, there's quite a bit that goes into engineering, and usually it has to do with sizing of from the sizing of the footings to the sizing of the posts, most importantly the sizing of the beams, and then from there the size of the joists, which a lot of that stuff I kind of know, but on these bigger, more complex builds, I have a licensed and bonded engineer that can put a stamp on my plans. I think it's really important. So a basic 10 by 20 foot deck, I don't need an engineer. Sometimes if I go into permitting, I may need an engineer stamp to determine, it kind of depends on the complexity of the build and how much pounds per square foot we're trying to provide for that particular project. So that's my determining factor, is especially if I don't know, if I'm trying to carry a load past a certain length, then I have to go into engineered lumber, and then usually I have to hire the engineer to calculate the math for me so I know we're sizing the beams appropriately. Why no kids, Mr. Dex?
Are you stupid?
Do you ever look back at some of your old decks with pride, seeing how far you've gone? Yeah, I have. I used to build just pressure treated, regular old just squares, and maybe a lot of cedar decks in the first 10 years of my career. And then as man-made products became available and became more realistic, and my clients really started wanting those type of materials, that's all we use now. And the deck board bending is really given me a creative outlet, which I'm really proud of. So definitely I look back and see how far I've come in the last 30 years. 31 years is how long I've been building decks for. So thanks for that question. Do you smoke meat? Love what you do, man. Thank you. I do. I haven't done it in a while. I have a big green egg I like to smoke meat on. I haven't done it a whole lot. I also have a Traeger, and I have a smoker. Because time is limited, I haven't really gone too deep into any of those lately. But I do love smoked meat, and it's a big part of my diet. I'm kind of a keto-friendly type of foodie right now, so I do. So send those recipes if you got them. Do you have each project engineered? No, not every project. The bigger ones with the bigger spans, with the bigger beams, usually we do, depending on footing size. And that's why we got into helical piles, because in Washington State, the pounds per square foot live load was increased to 60. It used to be 40. A lot of the country's still at 40, but we had to build to 60. It changed everything. It started making my footing so big. That's why I really got into helical piles, because I can do a 10-inch helical pile that'll hold just as much weight as a 5 foot by 5 foot by 2 foot slab of concrete, which kind of, blew my mind. And those are working out very well for us. Dewalt or Metabo HPT table saw? They're both good saws. Right now we're using the Dewalt. We had a knob issue on our Metabo, and I haven't ordered the parts for it. So I just flipped over and put the Dewalt on our cut hub, and that's the one we're using. We don't have the cordless version, we just have the plug-in, the compact version, which we really seem to like. It's easy to carry and fits on our cut hub really good. What do you love about your work? I love to create unique outdoor living spaces. I love deck board bending, and I just love the feeling of completion when we're finished with a project that I've helped somebody realize their dreams and their desires, And whenever I get a smile and a check, everybody's happy, so I get to earn a living, and I just love that overall completion. I really do enjoy talking to the client, getting to know them, and seeing the enjoyment on their face when we're done. It's always a rewarding thing for me. Do you typically hit your scheduled allocated time on builds? Are you over or under? Usually I'm pretty close on estimating time. I usually pad every single job by a few days just to be sure, because of weather, especially in the winter time. Like now, really cold and rainy, it slows us down, and there's nothing I can do about that except keep grinding. But usually I bid timing wise a little over, and we usually meet those timelines pretty well. And usually that boils down to a certain amount of completion. Like for every so many dollars that the project is, I equate that into a certain amount of time. And that's how I usually figure out how long it should take us to build a project. I know that sounds crazy, but for me, it works out pretty good. Top 3 heavy metal bands? Man, there's more than 3. I say some of the old school Aussie, and some of the new stuff too I really like. Old school Motley Crue, and some old school Def Leppard, man. Those are like some of my 3 favorite metal bands that I've ever heard. There's a lot more out there, but those are 3. What can you improve on? There's always something. I would say after every single deck that I build, there is something that I can improve on, and I always try to do that. There hasn't been many projects where I finished and said, that's perfect. We couldn't have done anything better. Usually there's always something that need improving on, and I always put the challenge to myself, to be honest with myself, and try to make that happen. Favorite TV series right now? I would say I like to watch How It's Made. It's interesting to me how factories work and how production things happen and how they custom make carbon fiber this or carbon fiber that. I can sit and watch that show for hours. If I'm with my wife, it's usually not that show because she doesn't like it as much as I do. But it really is interesting to see how other things work. When replacing deck boards, do you need to caulk the old screw holes? I would consider using a product called G-Tape, which is a waterproof membrane tape, and it's a great product to cover up the old holes plus seal the new ones because it's a self-sealing waterproof membrane tape. So it not only will it cover up your old holes and keep the water from going in there, it'll protect the new ones you're going to make from the new decking. How often do clients make you guys food or bring donuts and coffee? Not very often, but we did have our client the other day buy us coffee, and it was cold, it was slightly snowing, and that was amazing. I actually usually drink an iced mocha, but I actually had a warm one that day, and that was really nice. When you cut your pressure treated birds, how do you seal them, or do you? If you're talking about, I don't know what birds is, but your bird dog, I don't know. When we cut our end grains on our decking, we always use Q-Tech Extreme, and we treat every end cut with a Q-Tech. We think that's the best product on the market, and that's what we like to use. I don't like the smell of other types of end grain sealers. They're really gnarly, and it was making my wife ill just trying to do the laundry. So we quit doing that, and we use Q-Tech. Thoughts on resurfacing an old deck with composite of substructure is still good. I've done it before, but there's got to be 3 things that must be complied with from the client. First of all, the framing must be in pristine shape. If it's over 10 years old, I won't do it. The homeowner must sign a no warranty agreement, which means if this deck fails, regardless if it's the decking or the framing or whatever fails, I'm not held liable. And the existing frame must be covered with G-tape to cover up all the old holes and to seal the new ones. And if all those conditions can be met, then I will consider keeping the old frame. Usually costs just as much as if we would have gone in and tore it out and put in a new one. When you schedule a year plus out, how specific is your timeline? How to adjust being ahead or behind? When I'm booking out for a year, I usually pad everything a week or 2 in case I want to go somewhere in the summer with my wife, or if things fall behind, or we have a material shortage, or things like that. I've been pretty lucky in the last 30 years, but lately with COVID, things have become a little bit more of a challenge. So we do our best with what we have. And then I have clauses in my contract that I can't be held liable for acts of God or anything else of that nature, or material shortages and things like that. So most of my clients are pretty cool about it. When it comes to buying tools, do you buy expensive and quality or cheap and replaceable? When I was first starting out, I used to buy a lot of Harbor Freight and pawn shop tools. And there's nothing wrong with buying tools at a pawn shop, but they are used and they just don't last quite as long. Now that I'm more established in my business, I justify spending the money on good tools, good levels, good laser levels. Man, I just used one last couple days. It just saved me all kinds of time. Stabila, you guys rock. And just great drills, great saws, cut hub, things like that just will stand the test of time. They're just well made, and they'll keep their value for a long time. So definitely invest in your tools, invest in your future, invest in yourself. You're still going strong. Any tips for guys to stay healthy in the trades? Take care of your joints. Don't fall. Be safe. Use a push stick. Wear gloves. Wear knee pads every single day. I'm starting to see a chiropractor twice a month. I think that's really going to help me because I've been in these levels of pain that I no longer really want to be in. I can take it. I have a pretty good tolerance for pain, but why be in pain if you don't need to? So for $50, I can go get an adjustment. $100 a month, maybe it's $110 a month for me to keep my spine and my hips. It's my hips that have really been giving me issues lately. So trying to get those hip flexors back into the right shape is kind of important. I'm 51. I know I'm getting old. I just want to keep myself in the best shape I possibly can. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for you tonight. I hope that answered some of your questions. And if it didn't, leave them below or hit us up on our social media channels and we will do another video about it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified when we are putting out new content. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Hi, Noah. You've been making noise, huh? Yeah.